Remember Amnesia the Dark Descent? That spooky, terrifying, shit-inducing game? Well, this is kind of like that, but now you have a gun. Okay, there's more to it than that. Amnesia the Bunker is a really spooky game where you're stuck in a bunker with a spooky and terrifying monster. Obviously, you don't want the monster to catch you because it will do bad things to you, so you try to avoid it as much as possible, complete your objectives, and get the hell out of there. Oh, and while you're stuck in this hellhole, there's a war going on outside. Did I not mention that?
World War I.
So if you get out of this hellhole, you just go outside to another hellhole. And it's cool. We really don't get a lot of games set in this period of time. So yeah, that's fun. But what's even more scarier than all of that is that you play as a Frenchman. That's really terrifying. So let's talk about the story. As I said, you play as a Frenchman who is a soldier in World War I. You and your friend, I'm assuming is your friend, or maybe he's more than a friend, I don't know. But anyway, you and your comrade, you fight off against the German soldiers. Your friend saves you from them a couple of times in the intro, which also teaches you the basic mechanics of the game. You try to get to safety, but then you find your friend injured. So you climb down this hill somehow, give him something to drink, because he's probably dehydrated, and then you try to carry him to safety. But alas, unfortunately, the German soldiers spot you and they start to bomb the shit out of you. They don't kill you, but they knock you out. And then you wake up in the infamous bunker, and of course, you have amnesia, because that's the title of the game. So you try to piece together what happened. Like in any survival horror game, like in a lot of survival horror games, there's a lot of notes. If you want to figure out the story, you read all the notes. There are some notes that you find from yourself, and you hear your French voice.
Me? A scoundrel? Perhaps. But when he returns and I remind him of the time he pissed in my flask, or the mysterious lice that appeared in my bunk, or the incident with that barmaid. Well, I laughed in those cases.
And of course you discover that not only is there a war, not only did you lose your memories, not only are you stuck in this bunker because some idiots blew up the entrance and caved it in, on top of all of that, there's a fucking monster that wants to eat your ass, and then your whole body, not only your ass. Well, actually, I don't know if it really wants to eat you. When it spots you, it just kills you. It just snaps your neck and that's it. But if the monster won't eat you, then the rats will. We'll talk about them later. Anyway, shit is fucked. Also, this game pretty much uses the same physics engine that the previous Amnesia games had, where you need to click and hold or click and drag things in order to move them around, in order to open doors, and you can also just throw things around, which is always fun. I threw this thing so hard that I made the whole bunker shake. It definitely has nothing to do with the war outside. Pull my finger. A lot of people call this game an immersive sim because there are multiple ways to tackle multiple problems. And it's kind of true. You will face many obstacles and there are multiple ways to deal with it. Your main objective is obviously to get the hell out of this bunker. Even though there's hell outside, at least you're on the outside, and it's probably, maybe, a little bit better than being stuck in a bunker with a terrifying monster, with a literal monster. Maybe. And in order to do that, you need to find a dynamite and a detonator. I'll get into spoilers later, but let's talk about the gameplay. So first of all, the most exciting feature, at least at first glance, is something that I mentioned in the beginning of the video. The gun. Unlike the previous Amnesia games, you have a way of kind of defending yourself. The reason I say kind of is because this game is like Alien Isolation. You can shoot the monster, you can't kill the monster. You can only scare it away. But, at least in my opinion, I think it's a waste of bullets. It's a waste of resources. It's the same in Resident Evil 7. You know the parts where Jack chases you around the house? You can shoot him and quote-unquote kill him for like a few seconds, but it's a waste. It's better to just run away and conserve your bullets for other things. In Resident Evil 7 and in Alien Isolation, you have other enemies that can be killed with weapons. But in Amnesia the Bunker, there aren't really other enemies, well, besides rats, and one crazy human that we'll talk about later. So why should you conserve bullets if there aren't really other enemies? And shooting the rats is a really big waste. Well, you can shoot locks off of locked doors. You can shoot explosive barrels in order to also open doors. Honestly, that's basically what you do in this game. You find ways to open doors and sometimes burn bodies, but you have other means of doing that. Besides the gun, you can find grenades. You can also find gas grenades, which can scare off the monster and maybe the rats too. You can find rags and combine them with other rags to create elf items. You can find rags and combine them with sticks to create torches. There are some useful combinations here. It all depends on the circumstances and what you're trying to do. So you have some weapons, you have your resources. You can even find a shotgun at one point, with like 3 bullets throughout the whole game. But what do you actually do in the game? How does it all work? Well, near the beginning of the game, after you wake up in the bunker, you find a wounded man and then he gets killed by the monster. Sucks to be him, but at least you have his gun. And I have to mention this, I get what they did with the reload animation. It's very slow and methodical, it adds to the tension. It's not an action game where you reload a machine gun in like a second and a half. It takes time, it's realistic. I really appreciate it, but god damn it's slow. Reloading in the original System Shock is even faster than this, but I still kind of like it. Then after exploring some more, you get to the main hub. You know how in Dark Souls there's Firelink Shrine, which is like the main hub of the game? No matter where you go, you kind of always come back to it. This is kind of like that, only obviously on a smaller scale. This is where you have your item box, which is like a Resident Evil box, but you can quickly find out that it's kind of useless because you can just throw things on the floor and they stay there, they don't disappear. So you don't need this limited box, you can just leave everything lying around here and it will stay here forever. So basically you have infinite storage. Other than that, you have this lamp, which is how you save the game. And it's the only way to save the game. There's no autosaves. You can't save whenever you want. You have to come back here in order to save. So if you go out there and you do a lot of stuff, you get a lot of items, but then you die, well, too bad. You have to do it all over again. No! Oh no! It is kind of annoying. I would have liked to have some kind of autosave feature, at least, but at the same time I see why they did this, and I can recognize that, yeah, it ups the tension a lot, because you really don't want to lose your progress. Other than that, you have another really important thing, which is the generator. Oh my, you'll get really attached to the generator. The generator basically powers up this whole bunker, and you have to find fuel and put it in the generator in order to power it up. But the fuel runs out pretty quickly. And if you're out there, the fuel runs out, boom, that's it. It's lights out, baby. You'll be stuck in the darkness and you won't know where to go. And the monster will start roaming around more freely. Oh no! So you don't want that. And that means that you should kind of plan out your journeys. You head out, you grab a bunch of items, you progress somewhat, and then you should head back before the fuel runs out. How do you know when to come back? You have this watch, and it basically tells you when to come back. But this game has a limited inventory system, and the watch takes place in your inventory. So I personally never took it with me. I kind of gambled. After a while you can kind of guess how much time you have. And usually you should just fill up the generator as much as you can, because why not? But what happens if you do get stuck in the darkness? Well, you have this flashlight, which is a really crappy flashlight, because, yeah, it lights up the place, but you have to constantly pull the string in order for it to not run out. But pulling the string makes quite a lot of noise. And as you can imagine, noise attracts the monster.
What the hell is wrong with you?
Every little noise can attract the monster, so that's really dangerous. I was almost never in a situation when the fuel ran out and I was stuck in the darkness, but I still took the flashlight with me throughout most of the game, just in case. So eventually, after overcoming your crippling anxiety, you head out, you explore, you find items, some of them you need in order to progress. You find notes, and you find duct tags of soldiers that were brutally murdered. Yay! The duct tags usually contain codes. You can use these codes in order to open the lockers, and the lockers always contain useful items. Some are even more useful than others, and some contain key items, like this wheel. And you need this wheel because this wheel broke. So you put the new wheel, and now you fully open up the bunker, kind of. And your first objective is to go to the communications room, and you start dealing with more and more booby traps. Sometimes you can tell when there's a booby trap because it's literally marked with an X, so you need to be careful. You also start dealing with more and more rats. Rats will just hang around the corpse, but if you get too close, they will fucking bite you. So if you want to get closer to the corpse, which most likely contains a duct tag, which most likely contains a code, in order to do that, you need to scare the rats away. You can just shoot them, but that's, like I said, that's a waste of bullets. You can throw a grenade, a flare, you can throw a Molotov cocktail. There are a bunch of ways to do it, but you need to scare them away. And the best thing to do is just burn the body, because then you'll scare them away and they won't come back later, because there will be nobody to eat. This rat sold me out. Well, I shouldn't be surprised. It is a rat. That's what rats do, piece of shit. And also, of course, you'll need to start dealing with the monster.
Monsters. Guess after this, there'll be one less to worry about.
Now, like I said before, the monster is kind of like the alien from Alien Isolation. It's attracted to noise, and it's attracted to killing your sorry ass. You need to do whatever you can in order to not attract it, and if it does come out from its hidey holes, you need to do whatever you can to avoid it. Because if it spots you, well, you're most likely dead, and you should just load your previous save, but if you're lucky, you'll have a place to hide. From my experience, the monster almost always found me, no matter where I hid, unless I hid under a bed or inside of a closet. The monster made me come out of the closet so many times in this game. I don't even know how I feel right now. Like I said, you can shoot the monster, you can scare it away, you can throw grenades, you can throw Molotov cocktails, but that's a waste of resources. You can use traps to your advantage. You can set off a trap just as the monster appears. Sometimes I even burned myself to escape and trap the monster behind me, so that the monster couldn't reach me. You can make the monster set up the trap itself, which will usually give you an achievement. The monster apparently gave me a bunch of achievements, and I don't even know what happened. What happened? What? Use gas on the beast? What? And whatever you do, for the love of God, or whatever you believe in, do not go near these holes. Especially when you see the monster's breath coming out of it, or when you literally see the monster coming out of it, because that's where it hides, and that's where it comes out from. I don't know how this monster fits into this tiny hole, but it does. It managed to grab me a few times and drag me into its hidey hole, and also it used those holes in order to sneak up on me. It made me shit my pants. Holy shit! How did he get there? And if you get hurt too much, you'll start to bleed, which makes you leave a blood trail, and that can attract the monster. So if you're bleeding and you hide in a closet, doesn't matter, the monster will know you're there, and then you're fucked. Also, on top of everything that I've explained up until now, this game is also procedurally generated. It's basically a roguelike or a roguelite. I don't really know the difference. But basically, each playthrough is different. Codes are randomized, item locations are randomized. From what I know, the main codes that you need and the main items that you need are in the same place, but the codes themselves are different. The duct tape that you need is in the same place, but the code is different. So you can't just memorize the code from the previous playthrough and start a new game and just put in the code that you memorized. No, you have to find the duct tape again. You have to play the game. You can't just skip everything. If it were the same codes, you could just finish the game in 15 minutes. And some people already did that somehow, even though the codes are randomized. Speedrunners. Those people are insane. But for the average player, he needs to play the game. You can't just skip it. System Shock 2 is a great example of this phenomenon. At the beginning of the game, in the first level, your main objective is to open this door. The only way to open the door is to get a code. So basically, everything that you do in the first level is trying to find this code. After a lot of bullshit, you finally find the code, and then you need to backtrack to this door, and then you can continue to the next level. But if you already know the code beforehand, because let's say it's your second playthrough, you basically can skip the whole level immediately. You start the first level, and you immediately finish it. You just put in the code and move on. You just skip the first level entirely. I'm not necessarily saying that it's a bad thing. Maybe it depends on the game. Maybe it depends on the type of game, but it can definitely cheapen the experience. Here, this is not the case, because it's randomized. So now I'm going to get all spoilery and talk about some spoilers. So if you don't want that, go to this time. Oh the fuck! No. Eventually, you get into the communications room, you get to the arsenal room, you get to the prison, you get to all of the places that you need to go. Grab all the items that you need, like the wrench or the cutters. Stay back. I have cutters. Stay back. Oh shit, it didn't work. Who would have thought? Eventually, after getting most of what you need, you go into this flooded place. And then I started to wonder if the monster can even swim. Initially, I thought this part would be like the part in the Dark Descent with the water monster, but no. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, it wasn't. But then I realized the monster doesn't follow you here. It's a new area where you're pretty much free of the monster. But it doesn't mean that you're entirely safe. You get to this place and you have a new save point. You won't use it long, but it's nice to have. And here you find some eyeballs, casually just lying on the table, and there's a note that was casually written by a casually crazy person. After that, you get into this place, which is called the Roman Tunnels. And here you have a new threat.
Igor gets lost in the terrible twirl. Can't see the sun for all the black smoke. Can't see the dirt for all the dead folk. Can't see the ocean, can't see the trees. So here I stay, down on my knees, singing and singing.
This crazy person, which I assume is the casual person who casually left his casual eyes on the table. And of course he's fucking crazy and he wants to kill you.
I hear you.
He also sings a lot, which is nice. So obviously you kill him, or at least I killed him. You don't have to do it, but I did. And you take his shotgun, which makes you feel more powerful, but you're not really more powerful. But the shotgun is useful like any resource, more as a utility tool, less as a weapon. You can break doors with it, which is very handy. So you casually kill this person, you see some spooky ghosts, and you take the detonator. And before you leave, you can go into this place and find the dog tags of your friend from the beginning, Lambert, and also a toy rabbit. Ooh, there's some speculations here, ooh, some foreshadowing maybe. You get the hell out of here, and by this time the fuel ran out from the generator, so it's pitch black. You move on anyway, you get back in the hub, save your game, take the dynamite that you acquired earlier, and finally blow this shit up. But, instead of opening up a hole and getting the hell out of here, you open the hole to an underground tunnel, which is probably also a part of the Roman tunnel. And you see the light at the end of the tunnel, finally an exit. But no, you don't reach the exit, you reach a giant-ass room, giant area. You reach a giant-ass area, and you face the final boss, which is your mother. No, it's the monster. What else can it be? But you finally have a chance to kill it. How? Okay, that was fucking easy. I think he fell down. Wait, it was way too easy. Let's try this again. I wanna see what else can happen. Come here, don't run away from me. Hey, it doesn't kill me in one shot. But it still kills me. Remember that toy rabbit? Well, you can use it on the monster. If you throw it, it will distract it. It will become sentimental, just like the achievement says. And if you position it right and you throw the rabbit on the middle of the bridge, you can just blow the bridge up and the monster will fall down. Come here. Come here. Come on, I'm trying to humiliate you, but you're humiliating me. Tap it. Stick to the script. Anyway, there's a bunch of ways you can do it. Use a grenade, use the shotgun. You can just even not kill it and run away. But just kill it, why not? Also, this monster from the foreshadowing earlier, and from what I understand, this is Lambert. This is your friend from the beginning, the one that was dying and you try to help out. From notes that you find out that you tried to drag him to safety, but then he dragged you to safety. That's how you got into the bunker. And when he dragged you into the bunker, you were unconscious and hurt, but he was fine. But as you remember, he was pretty much dying. So how is he fine? What happened? Well, remember the water that you gave him to drink? Apparently, it's some mystical water. After a while it healed him, but eventually it started making him go insane, and eventually he turned into a monster. Why did the water turn him into a monster? What is this water? From what I understand, it has something to do with Amnesia Rebirth, which is the previous Amnesia game. I didn't really play it. I played it a bit, but I got bored. From what I've seen and from what I've experienced, it's mostly a walking simulator, and I don't really like those, unless they're incredibly interesting and captivating, and unfortunately, this game wasn't, so I just stopped playing. But this water somehow connects to this story. It heals your wounds, but makes you go insane, and transforms you into an horrific monster. I think that's a good trade. So yeah, this is pretty fucked up and tragic, but eventually, you kill your former comrade, and you finally escape from this place. When I finished the game the first time, this didn't break. I needed to pull some crates in order to jump over it, but now it did break. So is it random? Is it part of the procedurally generated mechanics of the game? Or is it because something I did? That's it. Freedom. Whoa, the second I push this, it's like I'm being pulled. So you finally escape this place, just to fall down into a pile of corpses, which were probably your friends, and then you hear some German soldiers, which probably capture you and kill you. And also, if you didn't kill the monster, it comes out of the hole with you, and it just runs away. And now it's free to just kill everyone on the planet. So yeah, that's fun. Overall, this game is really fun, highly replayable, pants-shittingly terrifying, and I love it. By far the best Amnesia game since the Dark Descent. Just fucking great. Play it now, unless you're a scaredy pants. Then actually also play it. Thanks for watching this video, I highly appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe, do all of those weird things, and have a good day.